You are listening to the Pacers Report with Mike Rich. No Mike Rich this week, but we do have John Robertson, Michelle Garmon, and Will Retherford filling in to react to some recent rumors connected to the Pacers, particularly with Trey Murphy.
Welcome, Pacers fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for a special edition of the Pacers Report with Mike Rich. But no, Mike Rich, he is off protecting our country, and we're grateful for him, and we will have him back very soon. But I am joined by Will Rutherford, John Robertson, and Michelle Garmon, our fever duo. Will, of course, our jack of all trades, here to talk about the Pacers' latest off-season rumors. And, of course, most of them center around Trey Murphy, who Mark Stein reported in the last day or two that the Pacers are aggressively pursuing. But before we get to that, I want to get your philosophy on what the Pacers should be doing here. Should they stand pat, or should they try to consolidate and get as much talent as possible?
I'm a big fan of picking up a few small pieces here and there through free agency, but keeping the core where it is. I know they didn't have a good outcome last season. I know the season was not what they wanted.
Was there a season last year?
The last few times they played, I guess. We'll say that. But I think the injuries early didn't really show what the core could do without Halliburton. Obviously, it was a season without Halliburton. But I truly believe that you just bring Hallie back with Nesmith, with Nembhard. We assume that Zubac is going to be okay and be pretty good. And Pascal. Johnny Furphy, I saw him at the Fever game the other night, but I know he had a pretty big injury.
He's expected to play this year.
So I really think they're not missing much. It sucks that they don't get a draft pick. I don't think a draft pick outside of the top 3 or maybe 4 was really going to be a huge game changer for the squad. And I'll even say I'm not even sure if they got a top 3 or a 3-4 pick, if it was going to matter that much either. But I like staying pat. I like looking to see what's available in free agency, but don't go nuts. See what happens. I think we're good.
All right, before we get to Will and Michelle, I want to express Mike's position. And as you all know, because you were in the text chain, Mike wants this done. Mike wants Trey Murphy tomorrow. He thinks if you get rid of Nembhard and Nesmith, it's worth it. I can see where he's going with that, but I disagree.
In perfect basketball theory, I think it's the right decision, but that's just not the way the game's played. I think that they're giving up a lot. At this point, this Pacers team really should be building for whatever the East looks like next year in terms of roster construction. And I just think that Nembhard and Nesmith together present challenges for other opposing teams in a way that just having Trey Murphy doesn't. I think Trey Murphy makes him better offensively. I think he probably makes him better in his matchup defensively. But you're taking away then a starting guard from somewhere. Do you have somebody that you feel is ready to take the mold? To me, I think if you're going to get a Trey Murphy, Jarris Walker once again just becomes irrelevant because you've now filled his niche. So then what was the point of that draft pick? If you're going and looking for his exact archetype in Trey Murphy, which they're almost the same size, they almost play the game the same way, then why is he not part of that trade? Why does it have to be Nembhard and Nesmith? To me, that feels steep. I can assure you of this. They should not have to give up a pick on top of that. If those two can't get the job done, then I think they've got to wash their hands clean of the deal and say, we tried our best, but just we cannot afford to give up this much when we're in a window right now we can win a championship.
To be clear, they most likely wouldn't have to give up Nembhard and Nesmith. The thing is, with salaries, they're over the salary cap right now, and they'd like to get under it. And I think the reason that they'd be willing to do that is they would come out ahead in the salary swap as well. It would most likely be Nesmith, Walker, and a way to get 2 first-round draft picks. Is something like that. Apparently, they're looking for a package comparable to what the Magic gave up for Desmond Bane, so that's about what that is. But they really are probably looking at this from a shedding salary kind of thing too, which is kind of where we are eternally.
I have problems with that because before Hallie's Achilles popped, they pretty much made it clear that they were willing to go into the luxury tax for the following season to try and get it done. So clearly they didn't last year because they knew that it was not, I mean, I don't want to say a throwaway season, but they knew it wasn't going to be the season they were expecting. So I think they owe us a year of sucking it up and paying the luxury tax.
And they might.
So they might, but have we ever seen it before? I think track record shows that they're not going to. But I do think they owe it to the fans and to the players to be willing to do it once to see what happens.
They still could be in the luxury tax if they trade for Murphy. I don't know. I was talking to a really good Pacer fan the other day. He thinks Murphy is a really good player. He doesn't think he's the fit right now for the Pacers. I have to laugh, Greg, because he basically said the same thing you said in our text chain, that he's too much like Ben Mathurin. It's almost like just replacing Ben Mathurin with somebody taller, a forward, that the ball stops. And he and I were talking, and in crunch time, the ball needs to be in Halliburton's hands. He's the clutch guy. He's the decision maker. That's Murphy in some ways. And can he do that? Can he take a backseat role? Now that becomes interesting. And I know, and he's a forward. And if you get rid of Nembhard, he's a 6'9" forward. Who's going to guard Brunson? It's not going to be Murphy. Who's going to guard those other teams' really good point guards? I mean, hey, Knicks win a championship. They don't win it, I don't believe, if the Pacers are still in it, because Nembhard has made Brunson's life miserable in the playoffs. And I just think that's a heavy price. I'm also, call me maybe old-fashioned or a little on the conservative. There's that saying, and I like this saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Right now, the Pacers aren't broke. And I'm not saying you can't get smaller pieces to fit, but the Pacers have something special, not just necessarily talent, but they get along. They have fun playing with each other. They know each other on the court, kind of know where each other's going to be, have each other's backs. I just think that that's a huge advantage. And sometimes I think you can go looking for something that you think, well, we really have to have that, but then it doesn't fit and you lose a little bit of that magic. And then you're going to have to take, extra time replacing it. And I just don't want to get rid of any guards.
Look, is Trey Murphy an upgrade over Nesmith talent-wise? Absolutely, no question about it, especially talk about scoring. But, man, Nesmith does the little things that make a team good, and he's unselfish. He can have an effective game where he has 6 points. He can also give you 35 and have the most clutch game you've ever seen. I don't know if it really is much of an upgrade over Nesmith, Trey Murphy, when you look at it from that perspective.
I just think that surely there's some other pieces out there that you can do. And I don't really want to give away a lot of draft picks or necessarily even then swap other picks. Pacers right now currently have possession for the next 5 first-round picks of theirs. Pelicans may want 2 or 3 of those, and that just, or down the road, maybe a couple of those and another one a little bit later. I'm just not big on that because we don't know. What if you do suffer a backcourt injury? Now you got to go try to find a guard, because don't get me wrong, scoring forwards are nice, but scoring guards or combo guards are also very important to winning a championship. So I just hate to get rid of assets that you may need to replace something else. So like I said, I don't think it's broke. I mean, the Pacers are a Halliburton Achilles injury and a and a disastrous Miles Turner NBA Finals, a year ago, away from having been till this NBA Finals the reigning NBA champions. So I just hate to get that close and then think that you got to start getting rid of a couple or three integral pieces to that team.
I think to combine something that Michelle talked about along with what Will talked about. So we were talking about Miles Turner, but also when Will said we got to think about what the East is going to look like. I don't know if you guys saw that. It looks like Giannis is going to Boston. Wow. Did you guys see that news?
Yes, I did. They're the leading contenders for Giannis.
So, I mean, you got to think about Giannis in Boston along with what their talent they already have. That's going to make, I think, Boston.
That would mean one of their guys is on the way. One of their big two is on the way out. They can't afford all three. No chance.
Well, no, I understand, but I'm just saying that's going to shake up the East a little bit.
I don't know. I think that's a downgrade if you trade Jaylen Brown for Giannis. I think Jaylen Brown had his best season ever. That would stun me. Things are going to change in the East for sure. It sounds like, Will, we're kind of, John, unanimous at this table, at least, that we'd rather just stick with what we have.
Trey Murphy's not a winning basketball player. The Pelicans are awful. They've been awful his entire existence on this team. It's not like we're trading for some perennial winner that's made clutch shots in the playoffs, that's been able to be second fiddle to a guy, because Zion Williamson can't keep his ass on the floor for the life of him, and the Pelicans refuse to put him out on the floor. The more people are talking about it, I'm just getting frustrated. The thought of the Pacers even thinking about doing this. This, to me, would just be a colossal mistake. I think that there is a sandpaper and jam element that Nesmith and Nembhard bring to this organization. I think one of them is undoubtedly going to be on their way to New Orleans if any trade for Trey Murphy happens. There's a reason in the NHL a third pairing defenseman fetches a first-round pick, because sometimes he's just a tough son of a gun who gets the job done when it matters the most and is the reason you lift a cup. I think that Nembhard and Nesmith are the reason this team hoists a trophy next year if they are lucky enough to do so. I think the Trey Murphy, it's awesome. It's a shiny new toy. We get to talk about it, but I just don't see where he gels with this team. The Siakam addition a couple years ago made sense. Siakam doesn't need his drink stirred. He can go get buckets himself. He's great off the ball. He's great at the 15-foot. He's big. He can play good defense when he needs to. He can get to the bucket. Trey Murphy, to me, is going to be very Tyrese Halliburton reliant. And is Trey Murphy willing to be second fiddle, third fiddle on this Pacers team? Because I don't know if anybody remembers this, but the Pacers don't have their first-round pick this year because we went and got Zubac from the Clippers and had to give up Ben Mather and a first-round pick to do so. So clearly they have made an investment in their center to be somewhat of a second fiddle to Halliburton. Is Murphy humble enough to go to a winning organization and be the third guy? To me, the Pelicans record states that he is a good player. He's not a great player, because if he's that good, then they're not. Let me see. Let me check real quick. 26-56. So that's my end spiel. I'll be done after this, but I'm just pissed off if the Pacers do this.
All right, well, let's move on then and talk about some potential players we've seen in rumors with the Pacers who would be more of the guy that you're talking about, an upgrade to the bench, because it's unanimous here that the starting five should be Halliburton, Nembhard, Nesmith, Siakam, and Zubac. One name we're seeing a lot is Malik Monk, a guy who just comes off the bench and gets you buckets.
I mean, they could use some extra scoring off the bench, so sounds like a fit. It'd have to be the right price.
Yeah, I agree with John. It would have to be the right price. And now, granted, I know we picked up a great Kings player in the trade when we got Halliburton. They also had Darren Fox at that time too. I just don't know. It would, like John said, it just have to be the right price. We should not give up a lot for him. I think there will be possibly the potential for finding someone, a bench scorer or two, at some point during this offseason. I don't want to and have to trust that Kevin Pritchard is not going to do that. I just don't want to rush into anything too much. And the Pacers should be willing to hit that whatever it is, the lower tier of the luxury tax. I think you can do it for a couple of years, and I think they should. If nothing else, I think they owe it to the fans who continued to show up this season with the record that the Pacers had. They still showed up and were loud and made a great environment. And so I think you owe the fans for their loyalty. How's that?
Another guy, John, you mentioned that Giannis to the Celtics. It looks like there are going to be 2 or 3 big deals that go down like this, and that's going to mean teams are shaking up their rosters completely. And I think more guys are going to become available to kind of fill that role next to TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, Johnny Furphy, a pretty good bench already. And a name that's come up in connection with the Pacers is Isaiah Joe, who I think would just be absolutely perfect in that role. A guy I've always really liked as an NBA pro.
I do think that could be a good addition. I guess my question would be, where did the Pacers see Quentin Jackson? Because I think that either one of this Malik Monk, Isaiah Joe is, well, do we see Quentin Jackson evolving with this roster? Because both of those players kind of fit his niche in a way. So I think they both come down to the right price. I do like the addition of both of them. I think they might probably both have a higher ceiling than a Quentin Jackson does, honestly. So if he has to be a part of the deal, I think that's fair. But I don't think you can give up anything more than you need to, because I think that they do have guard depth that they're ready to develop. And let's not forget, Nesmith can play the 2. So if there has to be some adjustment to the rotation a little bit, Nesmith could play the 2 in a crunch. I don't know. I feel like if that's the upgrade they're going to make, they'd be better off doing nothing and maybe trying to swing a little. Can we swing in between Trey Murphy and Isaiah Joe? Is there a play there that I think really elevates them, where they add a 6-man that actually has a huge impact?
Nobody right now, but like I said, the rosters are going to get shaken.
They are. I think that's the move that this Pacers organization is looking for. Who's the 6-man? Who is the next guy that they can bring in, unload some of their 7th, 8th, 9th guys off their bench to truly make an upgrade to a good roster already?
I got one for you. I got a couple of absurd ones that probably aren't going to happen, but guys who are available, who I would think would be really interesting if they're willing to dip into the salary cap apron. What about Kyrie Irving? One of the all-time most skilled players ever. You put him on the bench, suddenly they've got the best bench in the league, and one that not even the Knicks can touch.
No, because he won't want to come off the bench. And 2,
yes,
he has not stayed healthy for an entire season. We've had enough of the injuries.
He would gladly come off the bench to play for a championship level team, I think, at this point.
I'm going to go with pass for injuries, but also I just feel like every time he's gone somewhere, there's been some sort of drama follow him, some sort of dumb story.
John, I'll tell you why it would be different with the Pacers. Goes.
Yeah, tell us why it would be different.
I will. He goes, this has been the case everywhere he's been, and he sees a bunch of guys not willing to work as hard as he is, and he eventually blows up at it. Because nobody works harder at his game than Kyrie Irving does, and that would fit perfectly with this team.
I don't see it.
Greg, I just don't see it.
It's not going to happen.
I
I'd like to see
him.
You don't sign Peyton Manning to be your backup quarterback.
At this stage in his career, though, I don't know. Okay. That was just because of what you guys mentioned. I wasn't serious about that one. But one I could be serious about is Daniel Gafford is available. I know he's a starting level center, but if you could sign him to a decent contract and have him coming off the bench. I just feel like he is the absolute perfect center for this team. A guy who doesn't need the ball. He blocks shots. He rebounds. He runs the floor. To me, I thought he was the guy they should have gone out after over Zubats, and he might be available.
I will say this: he can also play the forward. So with a guy like Gafford, then he can back up Siakam. He could play Zubats. I mean, he could play the forward. He could play with Zubats on the floor. That might be intriguing.
Yeah, they're interested in consolidating their talent. That's what they're looking to do. They got so many. You think the Pacers have a lot of good players on their roster. It just keeps going and going for the Thunder. But everybody now, John, is going to be retooling to beat the Spurs. I think that's what Boston's doing. I don't think they get any better getting Giannis over Jaylen Brown if that's what they're doing. But if you have to have a guy to go against a guy that seems like is going to run the league in the next 10 years, that might be the right move to make because everyone's going to be reacting to the Spurs, right?
I do think that the Spurs are the perceived large threat in the league going forward. My one caveat to that is big guys are injury prone, right? So when you build around a Wembanyama especially
when those big guys have bird legs.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Obviously, in the earlier years in the NBA, big talls were the go-to build around. But as of late, we've seen that's not been the case as the game has changed, and they're just so injury prone. I look at people like Joel Embiid who just can't stay on the floor for a full season ever.
Yao Ming, Ralph Sampson, it just goes on.
There's a lot. You got to look at it as like humans aren't really meant to be that tall. So it's like some sort of, I don't necessarily want to say mutation, but some sort of genetic thing that causes them to be that way. But human bodies, joints and tendons and stuff, they're just not really meant to be that big.
I don't know. Though, Will. He's not. I actually watched that series against the Knicks, and I have lost all faith that he's the next one because I watched Karl Anthony Towns bully his ass for 6 games.
Yeah, he's 19 years 5 games. Old.
He's 21. If he's
okay, whatever he is, he's still a child, man.
Karl Anthony
Towns.
Stop. But I don't.
No, you
think
gotta say this. You gotta say Karl Anthony Towns. Stop.
Yeah, guy's zesty as hell. Giving Wemby buckets. Wemby wanted nothing to do with him. Wemby did Karl Anthony Towns did to Wemby what Wemby did to Chet Holmgren. He took his will to play the game.
But that'll change over the next couple of years, Will. That's going to change over the next couple of years.
I promise you. This is just an absolute assurance from what I've seen from this Pacers team. Wemby doesn't want to play the Pacers for 7 games. He will get his ass ran out of the gym bad. He can't do it. He can't play with that pace. He can't play hard for 40 minutes. He can't do it. He's 7'5". Just to tap into what John said, his body is not built to do that. And I just don't think that he's
physical, does he?
He doesn't want to get physical. He doesn't want to play hard in the paint. He wants to stand out there and be a 3-point shooter.
Physical, Greg. You think just getting over age makes you want to play that way?
You can watch the games and tell he wants to be physical. He just can't yet. He wants to be part of that. He aches to be a grown man who can't yet. He is so tough. He is so motivated. He is going to be a huge problem if he stays healthy.
I would agree with you that he may want to be physical. I don't think his frame is going to let him. I think he is built entirely different than Giannis was. You could tell Giannis was very broad. Even when he was drafted, you saw the frame for him to be big. And I think Wemby is always going to struggle to maintain weight and maintain mass with how tall he is. I think that you're seeing a limitation of his is I just don't think he's ever going to be physically huge. And I don't, he's so much bigger than even a Kevin Durant that he's never going to be a shifty. He's never going to be able to get his shot within 18 feet the way that Kevin Durant can. I mean, I don't want to compare Wemby to a legitimate all-time great, which is what Kevin Durant is. I think that's an unfair comparison at any point of his career. But I don't watch that series and think that Wemby is going to be the guy. I think Dylan Harper is who I'm more afraid of because I think I see the way that he can develop his game, and he could be a killer. I think he could be SGA. I think that is the level of player that he could be. And that to me is more scary.
And Stephon Castle's the perfect number 3 guy. Man, they are
Stephon Castle's a dog. The guy is built in the pound. Yes. He is an absolute animal.
They all are, Will. All 3 of those guys.
Wemby's not. Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper, they won it. That you could see they won it. I don't see it from Wemby. I'm sorry. I that series was enough for me to close my eyes on him being the next greatest thing in the NBA. I just don't think he's going to be able to keep up with it.
You know what, Will? I might, but I've not seen. And Gray, you can say he wants to be physical. Maybe he does, but a guy who I think came in tall, skinny, not quite as tall as Wemby, but had just that streak of nasty in him. And I don't think, Wemby hasn't shown that, and that is Kevin Garnett. When he came into the league, he was skinny and bony, but he had a little bit of a streak of nasty in him that allowed him to battle against.
He has shown it.
Actually, some more physical centers than what Wemby is facing. I agree with Will. I don't know that Wemby will ever be that player that you think he's going to be physical wise. I think Wemby has got a really nice finesse game. He's quick off the floor. He can get to the ball a whole lot, but it'll be interesting. I just don't necessarily see him turning into being a physical player like Jokic.
All right, Michelle, John, Will, thank you so much for your time. And before we go, one word, yes or no, do the Pacers win the championship next year, Will?
Yes.
Y'all are going to hate me, but no.
The history says no because they seem to have bad luck, but I'm actually going to say this with my fingers crossed and knocking on wood. But I'm going to agree with Will. I say yes. They're overdue, and as long as they don't trade away Nimhard and shake up the roster a whole lot, I will say yes. But if they give up a lot to bring in Murphy, then my answer is no.
I'm convinced I'm going to go my whole lifetime without the Pacers winning the championship. So I'm going to say the answer is no. I hope I'm wrong. Thanks, guys, on that positive note. Thank you guys so much for your time. It's been a lot of fun.
My pleasure.
Hate talking Pacers. It's just so much work.
I just think there's too many teams on the rise. They had their window, and the Achilles just killed it. That's where you said one word, so I just stuck with my one word, but that's my...
Yeah, it's my word, too. I agree with you. I think the Spurs are going to be too good. I think the Thunder are still going to be... They're going to do something to be awfully good. The Celtics, we got teams on the rise, too, but I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Spurs do because Fox did not play well. And it'll be interesting to see if they look to go, because I think Harper is going to be better than Fox.
Yeah, eventually.
Not already. Can Fox take that back seat role? And
Fox is going to be gone. He's not going to be there much longer, I don't think. He doesn't fit quite as well with the other 3. Maybe this year, but eventually they're going to move on from him, I think. He's going to be the guy they eventually, when they need to pay Harper and Castle, it'll be Fox who is on his way out a year or 2 from now. It's going to be those.
He is a terrorist. If you told me he was a member of Al Qaeda, I would believe it, because he was just absolutely brutal. And he was disgusting to watch. He's up there with like Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, Giannis hate watch for me, where I can't. He makes me upset to watch play basketball.
Get a little bonus again. It's 2 days in a row with bonus with you guys. Thanks so much. Michelle, did you want to add any, say anything about Tamika Catchings again? I'm just kidding.